Hi, good evening and welcome once again to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show. We also coming to you live on YouTube. You could get that on, as well as on the Guyanese Critic account there. Wherever you are tonight or today, this morning, it might be morning in some places. I want to say a good day to you, a good night to you, a good morning to you. It's always a pleasure being with you. Tonight, as was announced, so we will be taking it to come back to you people and let us do some call-ins and see what is it that irks you or something that you may want to say to the people of Guyana. You may want to advise, you just may want to comment, whatever it is. Let's make it short and sweet, try to fit in as many calls as possible. I want to say good night to my co-host also, Freddie Kissoon, as usual, looking very dapper tonight. I wish you could have seen his shoes. I did tell him, very unusual and unlike his character. But I did tell him also that tonight while driving I listened to a song. It is a very beautiful song that he would probably know because he always accused me of not knowing all the good songs that he is accustomed to listen to. Barry Manilow, a song called Mandy. Very beautiful song, and if you think I don't know some of the older songs, I do. Freddie Kissoon. I like Air Supply, and I like a couple of the older ones too. I like Journey songs as well. But let us don't waste too many times. I want us to have a discussion somewhere along the way. In addition to what you want to talk about, a very momentous thing happened this week. An interesting thing, some passage in Parliament of some laws, traffic laws, to make it very tougher for you to commit any breaking of those laws on the roadway, creating the kind of problems we would have seen ended up in deaths, slap on the wrist. People think it's okay to do things on the roadway and then they get away with it because the courts and the system does not work. These laws are intended to make it very tougher for you, and maybe the punishment that comes along with it. Significantly, one of the things that I did notice and I took note of is the responsibilities of bar owners, the people who hold a license for those shops that you were drinking. It also brings them or ropes them in and give them some kind of responsibility. They're the ones also have to ensure that before you leave the bar, if you've been drinking and if they know that you're driving, that you have to get a designated driver. I stop right here right now to hand you over to Freddie Kissoon. Freddie, over to you, sir.
Good evening, wherever you are. I've got two personal things to discuss, and I'll discuss them right away. My shoes. It's sneakers that I wear, and Gildarie didn't notice it, but the sneakers I wear all the time. It's 3 times a week, so I just put in the sneakers, push my feet in the sneakers. So this is the shoes that Gildarie's interested in.
You know, people are going to clip this and then show it all over the place.
Now watch me. If you're looking at me, or you're listening to the program, but you're doing something else, can you stop and look at me, please? I'll count up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now look at me and look at what I'm going to do. This envelope here, I'm opening it, and this is what I bought for Gildarie. He didn't know one of the 20th century most famous and loved song called Bridge Over Troubled Water. Here is the complete songs of Simon and Garfunkel. The first one, the first cut, is as equally popular and moving as Bridge Over Troubled Water. That's the sound of silence. So I know the modern cars today have CD player.
You want to ask me to sing that song?
So this is 20 songs from a very world famous group, a duo, Simon and Garfunkel. Gildarie, from me to you. Now, something else. Keep looking at me. From time to time, I got calls, I get emails saying, Freddie, we can buy I'd like to buy a smartphone for you. When we started this program, Gildarie called me from his home in Diamond and said, I'm coming down, I'm bringing a smartphone for you. I said, no, I don't want it. I have this friend, Kobe Prasad, who has a large dental clinic at Peters Hall by the Harbour Bridge. Yesterday he called and said, look, a friend wants to buy a smartphone for you. It is not that I can't afford a smartphone. Come on, I can. But maybe for some eccentric reason, I don't want it. And maybe it don't serve the kind of life I live. But here is what I want from you. If you're looking, and if Gildarie hears this, then he can act on it. I want something from you that the world is not making anymore and has stopped making for years now. I think you may get a few in the United States, but not in the rest of the world. Mikhail Rodriguez, Guyanese critic, has gone to London. I didn't ask him to bring one for me because you can't get it. I think the people in the US may be able to put their hand in 1 and 2. I'd like a this one. This one that you put your CD in and you play. I only use this one. I don't want to use any other thing. I've been using it this one for moons and moons ago. I like to put my CD in this one and go in the park and the seawall with my dog. So this is what I want from you. Not a smartphone, not anything else. I want a this one. I'd like a this one. So here it is. If you want to do something for me, send me a this one. If Gildarie is going away and he wants to bring back something for me, I don't know how you're going to get it. They stopped making it 10 years ago. You can't get this thing anyway. But this is what I love. I like to put my CD this and play it. So that's it. Now, we are asking you to call in and give us your questions and complaints. I want to extend or submit a warning or a caveat to you. Since we have this call-ins program, people have been calling me about follow-up with the calls. Gildarie and I simply cannot pursue that line. One, Gildarie has his business and it takes his time away from this program, much as to pursue those complaints we have. For me, I can't do it. I cannot afford to put gas in my car, put credit in my phone, and call people in Essequibo and Bobby's drive around. What we're doing in this program is hoping, desperately hoping, that when you make your complaints, someone in authority, in business, in government will listen. The lady said, Guile driver slammed into her car. She's a single mother. She spoke about that. We hope somebody from Guile heard. The chairman of the board is a prominent businessman. Some folks cleaned the trench in Leguan in June and haven't been paid. What Gildarie and I can do about that? We're doing something by offering you a forum for your views. Finally, before Gildarie coming again, I don't believe the problem with this country is the business class, the public service, the government. Maybe this country is jinx. I've been to a University of Toronto, 28,000 students. It was a paradise. Everybody was happy there. Students and professor, you get your money in time, your stipend in time, you get your grades in time. University of Guyanese is one of the smallest universities in the world. And it's been a troubled place since I went there to teach in 1986. That's almost 30-something years ago. Everybody's unhappy at UG. Students don't get their things in time. Students can't find their lectures. Lectures are nepotistic. Lectures are incestuous. People get promoted and they don't deserve it. Those who deserve promotion don't get promoted. Something is wrong with Guyana. My friend is visiting Guyana. He was one of the most prominent businessmen in this country in the 70s. Everybody knew him because of the type of business he did. He hobnobbed with the creme de la creme of Georgetown society. So we're meeting to go and have, he drinks water, I drink coconut water. And then when we sat down, he said, Freddie, I passed by the passport office. What's going on there, man? Nothing existed a long time ago. So Raymond Prasad, an engineer that works with Jerry Gavai at Ogle Airport, called me to say, go and see what's happening at the airport, at the passport office. I said, Raymond, I know. I pass there. I go on the seawall every day. What I saw and what is going on at the passport office, I saw that the identical ambience, the identical picture, 28 years, 25 years ago. So it's not a question of the government, of the business class, of the lawyers. Something is wrong with Guyana. Why do we have that spectacle at the passport office that I saw 25 years ago? Gildarie, I think I've taken up too much of your time. Over to
Thank you very much. But that's an interesting point that you've raised there, Freddie, just before we go to the calls. I just come back again from Suriname, and you know what? People are dying to come here. I don't know, and our people, Suriname average income is about $300 to $400 a month, US dollars, which is like about $60,000 to $80,000. And you know what? While the cost of living might be lower here, it's high for them. But people are dying to come here. But look, Freddie, I'm not sure what's the answer. Maybe it's an attitudinal thing. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, people are not comfortable. A lot of people are not comfortable. If they're given the opportunity, they will leave here. But there are a lot of people, on the other hand, with what's happening with the oil and gas, they're coming back here. Well, let me stop here.
You know, my sister came here. I swear on my family, I swear on the pets I love. What I'm saying here is true. My sister came here just to get an ID card for our nephew. She got all the papers, she got his birth certificate. When was time to get an ID card, they say they're not doing that. You have to wait next year. So he doesn't have an ID card. Gildarie, why can't you go in a place and get an ID card? It's so important. Nothing could be done without an ID card. So the poor fella doesn't have an ID card.
Well, here's another problem that you have. Passports, you used to get it within a couple of days, within 3-4 days. It seems as if we regressed into the past. It takes 2-3 weeks, and if you could pay $100 and get a passport tomorrow or the next day, $100 US. But if you go in normally, you got to wait 2-3 weeks. I think a few years back you could walk, and I went in and got my passport within 3-4 days. People used to get through. How did we end up in a state that where it went back to the original form? I thought to progress. If you move from one limb, you go into the higher limb. 231-2982 short calls. Let's make it snappy, folks. Good evening, caller on the air. I think we lost that one. 231-2982. And if you want to WhatsApp us, it's 637-1071. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, good night, Mr. Gildarie.
Good night, sir. Go right ahead.
You're talking about the passport. Yes, you're talking about the passport.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, go ahead. What's the question?
He's listening to
Yes, about the passport story.
Okay, yes.
I put in for passport since July.
He has to tune down his we're getting a feedback. Could you tune down your
Please turn down your volume on the whatever you're listening to. Right.
Yes,
Good.
I'm off there.
So you applied for your passport since in July. Did you go back to them? What are they telling you?
Yes, they called me in the 20th of September.
July, August,
Right.
September, 3 months, yes?
I went there in September. They said about the slip. And they go inside and say, wait. We wait about 10 minutes and come back and say, look, I don't have passport. You said they should have told me since I gave you the slip. You're supposed to look at it, I don't have passport. Why you take 50 minutes to come back and tell the guy I don't have passport? That's why we must go back. We go back last week. When we go to take this again, we sit down and say, wait. They come back and say, look, I don't have passport.
And this happened. I am being told that that situation is near rectified.
At the passport office.
And so you don't have your passport up to now?
No. That's the guy I don't have.
So this is July, August, September, October.
I think you have no, sir.
I'm being told that they have right now.
But the line is very long. It's a line from here to Timbuktu.
All right.
I'm talking about bodies here, and the passport office in body.
Okay.
Don't
Barbados.
have line there.
I don't know if passports have gone to Barbados. I don't know.
But it's only last week we went there and said I don't have passport.
How do you not have passports?
I don't know. Next caller.
All right, no
Thanks,
problem. I'm gonna reach out to Minister Ben and send this to him. It seems as if he got to go to the very top. I know people have been listening to us and they want to changes that are being made, but let's see what happens.
But here now, if Mr. Gildarie,
Yes.
if you don't have something and I come to your counter and you don't have the thing, you will tell me right away you don't have this thing. You don't have to tell me the one sit and you're going to check inside and come back and tell me that you don't have.
Well, yeah, but if they don't have it, it's very clear that they don't have it. They said, look,
Yeah, but let's sit down and wait. And after 3 minutes, then they'll come and tell us we don't have.
well, I can't explain that. If you could explain it, I don't know. But it boggles the mind that you don't have your passport in 4 months, Freddie. All right.
Since June or July.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. 231-2982. Freddie, unbelievable. How do we regress in such a state?
My nephew cannot get an ID card to open a bank account. Cause he can't get a passport because it's not an ID card. And they say another 6 months.
You know how simple it is to get a printer? You know how much a printer, Freddie? In this day and age, a printer has come down to less than $10,000 now. Yeah, although the Guyana passport don't be printed here, it's printed in Canada. You're supposed to have a steady supply. When you go there, they're supposed to have a supply of it. All right, to go right ahead, 231-2982, let those calls come in. You could also WhatsApp on 637-1071. Let us see those calls and those messages, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see. All right, 231-2982. Let those calls come in, folks. Let us see that.
But we had the fiasco. I got so many complaints, and that was inexcusable when they published 8 pages in each of the 4 dailies about the days people supposed to collect their pension and didn't state where they were to go. When you drafting that, you had to put Dolphin School, Monmouth Police Station. You had to.
Good evening, caller, on the air.
Yes, good evening.
Good
if
evening.
They don't have passports, why don't they renew people's passports with what they have?
No, well, if your passport has an expiry date, you cannot renew those passports. You have to issue a new one.
People travel.
Well, that is the issue, because if you have business to do and they run out of passport, I don't understand. This is a very stupid problem. The passport are not made here, it's made overseas, but it is our job to make sure. I can understand the whole, how you say it, the whole pandemic would have thrown things into a tailspin, but you cannot say that a couple months later that some kind of emergency, you could fly in a plane. Those things are important. You can't stop business because of that.
I supposed to go in next week and renew mine because I have to go to Canada for February. Important.
Right.
But what's going to happen?
I don't know what to tell you there, but it is a major problem. It's a major problem.
But why is it things like ID card, passport, driver's license? Those are mundane things.
No,
We'll get it, right? This is Guyana.
But let's see what happened. It is an issue out there. We'd have to raise
Because
it.
I cannot support to give a right.
All right. So thank you very much, ma'am, for coming through. Bye-bye. So we got some messages. Let's read it very quickly to Freddie and Gildarie. Every election, Guyana will vote for the PPP and the APNO. These two parties are always gaining support by the majority of the Guyanese. How can we be a serious nation electing the same leaders that haven't rectified the power situation 56 years into independence? Our medical system is a joke. Waste disposal is a problem. Is this a modern nation? How can we still as a nation keep electing the same leaders causing the same problem? This nation can be serious. And the other gentleman, I'm asking you, could you check the situation of the water on Water Street, the new vendors mall? These vendors are taking up the parking spots. The blocks, they put up tents on the pave, which should not be. Thank you very much for coming through the incoming call again. Good evening, caller, you on the air?
Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir. You on the air?
I'm on there.
Yes, please lower your volume on whatever you're listening to so we could be able to come through clear.
Yes, sir. I'm from Bordeaux area, but I'm calling from overseas anyway.
Yes.
I
Go ahead, we listen.
So I put in for 2 lands in Bordeaux for prescriptive rights in the Bordeaux Code 3 years ago.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And over I've been waiting. It's over 3 years. All that I'm hearing, there is no land judge in Bordeaux. When is that going to happen? I can remember Nadalal announcing they're going to get land judge 2 years finished with them in the government and nothing being done. There's thousands of cases of land to be processed in Bordeaux. There is no land judge. All that you hear, the land judge has been retired. And they have to put it in a parliament to pass. Oh, why are they taking so long? And we are people who are looking to come and develop. We want agriculture to develop and invest in Guyana. No land judge in Bordeaux. How that can be solved?
I want to talk about that.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to deal with that.
The
Thank you.
chairman,
Thank you. Thank you for coming through.
the chairman of the Integrity Commission was a land court judge, and I got a complaint that many decisions. I want to be careful here. I don't want to get sued for libel. I don't know if it's true or not. I was told that he moved from the land court judgeship to the chairmanship of the Integrity Commission, and a lot of decisions were not given. That may not be correct, but that's what I was told. And I called him. I called several times. His secretary left my cell number. I never got a reply. I just want to say.
I know a few years back, when I was at Kitesurf News there, I had reported on the appointment of 2 judges to deal with backlogs and those land things. But it is inconceivable that you have all the courts in Georgetown and land courts. You can't have one in the counties. You have 2 other counties, Freddie Kissoon. How do you not deal with that? Okay. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Good evening, Alan. How are you?
Pretty good, sir.
Good
Right
evening
there.
to you, Mr. Soon.
Yes.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing good so far. This is Shazim from Road.
Yes, Shazim.
I'm calling in connection with the situation that we're facing with a group here right now. I don't know if you hear anything about it. Yesterday morning, my sister, the Pacific Manisa, she was robbed. Just like many other people in the morning, people are leaving to go to work or going out to do some transaction or something, and they can't feel free in this area. They're being robbed. Every morning, 2-3 people are getting robbed on the street here, and the police is not doing anything about it. I would very much like if the police are listening to this, the crime chief or whoever is listening to this, can do something about this.
Thank you very much, Shazim. We talk about that right now. Thank you very much.
So much,
Bye. Freddie Kissoon, I live in the Grove area. I know exactly what he's talking about, and a lot of people have been complaining to us. Imagine you have a lot of police, traffic police in the road, but how do you not have a lot of patrols? In this day and age, how do you not have the patrols? The patrols give you a kind of feeling of some kind of safety or something, but how do you have police standing on the road, blocking off traffic, checking on vehicle tints and so on, but you don't have any?
I have a healthy respect for the Commissioner of Police and the crime chief, and I particularly like the traffic chief. I spoke to the traffic chief 3 times on coming on the program because the traffic situation here is insane. Leonard Gildarie, I haven't visited the countries, maybe lots of people in the media and academia like me have visited. But Leonard Gildarie, this country has to have the worst drivers in the world. The things that I see on the street, the people doing with our road fatality statistics, something is seriously psychically wrong with this country. So I spoke to the traffic chief. He said he will come, but he has to get permission from police commissioner.
Thank you very much, sir.
I asked Mr. Branham, the crime chief, to talk to the commissioner. He said yes, he will. I called the public relations officer, Mark Ramatar, 3 times to get on to the police commissioner to give the traffic chief permission. I've heard nothing.
Thank you. I spoke to Mark Ramatar too. I'm going to get back to him. Good evening, caller. Hello?
Hey, good evening, and I am very Freddie Kissoon.
Yes, go right ahead. We're listening to you.
Okay, I would like to put the thumbs up before I Vice President Mr. Parajan had ever interviewed by any other journalist besides critics, the Guyanese critics?
I can't answer that, but based on what I I'm out of the media except for this program here with Freddie.
Okay.
But what I've seen, I know that they hold press conference from time to time, but I'm not aware of whether he is open himself and give other interviews. I saw something when I was coming here on the TV. He was on Globe Span. But I'm not sure whether they have, whether the president or anybody has given those kind of
My
interviews.
reason to ask that, right? I use the politics a lot, but I know he used to condemn the BP a lot, right? And of recent now, I'm seeing that he's agreeing a lot with the BP. However, that's good. I don't have a problem with it. My question is he on Mr. Parajan's VIEWP list?
I can't answer that. I think the question you should be asking is whether is an issue of transparency when it comes to the government. I think that's what you want to ask. And whether the government, who is supposed to be transparent, should not open itself to the scrutiny. That is the question that you should be asking. But these are the playlist, I don't know.
Are you there, sir?
Playlist, sorry.
Are you there, sir? Are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Why the question of the man being on the pay list comes up? When Sharon Das Prasad voted for the opposition motion of no confidence, there was a concatenation of criticisms with accusations flying wild that he took a bribe. Kemaj Ramjatan said that. He sued Ramjatan for libel and he won. But do you know today, while that election rigging was going on, the son-in-law of President Granger came out and said the election is being rigged and we must stop it and it is glaring. And to date, no one has accused Dominic Gaskin, Mr. Granger's son-in-law, of taking a bribe or anything. Why can't critic have a relation with Mr. Jagdeo in which he interviews Mr. Jagdeo? How payless or paycheck?
No, I think look, listen to me. I think that the caller who's still online here, I think the caller may have missed. I think that was not the issue. I think the question there's
the answer question is
so there's two things he's talking about there. Whether he's on the pay list, one, and two, why is the Jagdeo is only talking to critics?
Right,
two different issues.
Right, it's two different issues. But I think he's implying.
All right, well, go ahead. All right, any other questions, sir?
Okay, one more thing I would like to
Yes.
point out, right? I see the Minister of Agriculture is promoting a lot of agriculture and livestock and stuff, right? But I haven't seen anybody paying attention to the price of phone hogs, brand. The price has tripled the value that it was before. It's very hard now to survive on that. Because remember, livestock, you don't get a cash money on it every day or every week or whatever. That should be really, to address.
I agree with you because materials, feeds, anything to do with feed and raw materials and everything, fertilizer and everything has gone through the roof because of what's happening following the pandemic and the whole shipping problem.
Stay on the phone, caller. I have something to say concerning agriculture, and it's serious and it's dangerous. I have a very cordial relation with the Minister of Agriculture. It's somebody that I like. I personally like him, and I will invite him to this program. There have been some deleterious developments in the area of agriculture that I think this nation has to pronounce on. If you go in the markets right now, sir, you will see some explosively yellow tangerines all over. They're imported. Tomatoes that have an oval shape all over the market, they're imported. There's a lot of importation of and it's going to hurt our farmers. It's going to damage the agricultural sector of this country, and this nation has to discuss it. It has to. Those farmers.
Sorry, just answer me one question, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, if you have let's say that you're low-income person, right? And you have an opportunity. There is two items there. There's one item, but two different prices, right? Okay, a bottle of pepper sauce. But you have an opportunity to pay $100, that which is that's imported one, right?
Yeah.
And the one that we're preparing in Guyana, you have to pay $200.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's a dilemma. I know, and it has to do with the cost of electricity.
It has to do with look, if you're within the CARICOM, there's some laws, there's some taxes and so that you don't have to pay the trading thing and so on. But you have to look at it from a health perspective. You just can't bring in food into the country.
But Saul, I was in Marseille supermarket this morning, and the meat section says U.S. pork. They are imported beef and pork and fish and salmon in this country that are chemically treated. I don't know if you could ban them or what, but I would advise local people not to buy them. There are lots of vegetables that are genetically modified that are coming into this country. About the question, I face that question too. I am insane, sir. I am insane when it comes to supporting local. I'm inflexible about that. But I do think poor people face a problem when ice cream, for example, there's an identical ice cream coming from Suriname that is made here in Guyana. And the Guyanese one is just as good, but it's a couple $100 more. So I don't know the answer for that. It is a dilemma. Anyway, thanks for calling.
Thank you for coming through, caller.
Let me just say one.
No, we got to go.
You
You
gotta
have
go.
other callers there, man.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much. My apologies. Interesting point. For Freddie, so there's two things. I don't agree with you. With you banning anything that's foreign. I think
I
for the
don't
government,
know if you can.
I think what we got to do, look, if you want to be competitive, right? If you want to be competitive, and I would take Derek in a short while. If you want to be competitive, you have to ensure that whatever is coming from outside the region, there's a CARICOM external tariff tax, that you have to ensure that those taxes go on to it so our people could remain competitive here, our farmers. You got to give them a fair thing. But if you're going to those tangerines that you're talking about here, if you go check it, I bet you my bottom dollar that those things are being smuggled into Guyana. So how are the people going to compete when you?
I don't know if it's being smuggled, but I think one of the things you're forgetting is the cost of electricity here.
No, it's a big thing. But we talking farming. We talking farming. How do you deal with that? But it's an issue. I think that has been it should be dominating the authorities, but. We cannot just put it on the back burner and just say these things are not important. They've been talking about it. Farmers have been talking about it. Are we making it priority? I think they are, because that has been what the president has been saying. Derek, you're on air. Go right ahead.
Freddie, good night to you, sir.
Good evening.
I just wanted to have your take on that COI that we've seen there in Guyana. What do you think about it?
I think what has come out of it is traumatic for me. When the assistant commissioner of police said what was going on there, who was being put out, and his authority was not recognized, I saw that with my own two eyes as a 16-year-old polling agent for the PPP in 1968. What we need to do with that commission of inquiry when it's finished is to make it into a book and distribute it all over this country so the next generation could avoid that. That is my take on it.
Sir, are you here? Sir?
Yeah, go right ahead. We listen, Derek.
Are you impressed with those witnesses that they have there?
I don't want to use the word impressed. I find it interesting in the facts that they're outlaying. It's not a question of whether I'm impressed or not.
Correct. You are correct. It's a travesty of justice in that country.
Thank you very much. Any other point, sir?
No, I just wanted to have Freddie's take on that stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming through. We want to say good night to all our overseas viewers, listeners, wherever you are. It's good to be joining you, and let us see, there's another caller line. Good evening, caller in the air. Hello? Okay, we missed that one there. We want to say good night and or good morning to wherever you join us from. We know we have people in Brazil, people calling all the way from somewhere along in the Caribbean and those islands and so on. A lot of calling. Good evening, caller on the air. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes. I have one issue that I get to recognize as right here. I have an issue concerning I think I mentioned to the La Paz Harvey Primary School and Secondary School. Then I have spoken directly to the president since the first day school opened. You know, answer they like to be, they do nothing to the road.
So it's a road to the Parfait Primary School?
The primary and the nursery school, that's the only road. And if I bring you or Mr. Kissoon or anybody from the New Jersey, you have been budget to show you that they do streets where nobody is living. The main school, the nursery primary school, with over 1,800 children combined. I spoke directly to Mr. Ali. He said, Mr. John, we'll get a street. We're getting into the school. Nothing. I don't know where we have in this country. You see, they have some ministers within the government. You can't get that to these ministers, and you can only get that to probably 2024 course election. If you don't speak to you like dogs, you can call from now till they don't answer, they don't have no time with the small man.
Stay on the line.
It's right, I'm trying to do that signature right now to get to ask the American and the ABC countries to come up visit that area.
Stay on the line. I wrote a column with the president in the caption in which I advised the president to leave his office or his home, go and get a phone and call the Ministry of Housing. Leonard Gildarie, no human in this world, no human, I'm looking in the camera and I make no apologies for saying this, no human in this world can pick up a phone for the entire week, a fortnight, a month, and call the Ministry of Housing. There is absolutely no answer. I've got complaints from people that are hard. Gildarie, if you live in Mahaika and you can't get through to the Ministry of Housing for something that they give you and you have to fulfill the other requirements, you have to travel to Mahaika to break down with the Ministry of Housing, and then you would hear the person is in the field. And that person has to travel to Mahaika. I'm asking all the callers in Guyana and overseas, and I'm asking Leonard Gildarie, pick up the phone and call the Ministry of Housing. You will not get through. You will not. I stayed in my home and tried for hours. I'm going to send a message to Minister
of Education, Priya Manikchan, and I hope that she takes some actions on that. Thank you very much.
Leonard, before you go, I called Priya instead. I sent pictures to her. If I'm speaking directly to the president, and this has been for the last 7 years. I remember I spoke to Adam to send reporters all about. For the last 7 years, I begged them to do that road. I walked with the minister of Indar, started to do the road in school. When the school opened, people saw me there. They run like if they could have beat me. This is really hard. People like another PAP, another PNC, another NAPNU. My child is going to the school. I called Mr. Ali directly on the cell phone. I called Parajavio. I begged him and I said, man, come let me do this road, man. Our children go in there, future presidents and prime ministers and ministers go in there. I tell you that I said this government don't have no time with the grassroots people. And that is what happened in the last election, they have no ESP, and people are going to realize it.
I'm gonna.
I call Colin Cole. And I can show you this in 1970, Leonard. And I call the Senator Edgel saying it's Cole saying is Damian. Just get me wrong in the circle. So we the parents now, we decide to write letters to the ABC countries and let them come and see the road. Why we have to be begging these people who make promises to win office and fool everybody to do a road? Why we have to beg them to do a road with school is, man, with over 1,800 future generations? you come a day when the place is dry. That's when it's falling. So when you see the place and the distance is dry, you could imagine when this weather what's going on here.
The rainy season is coming. November, December, when?
Thank you very much for coming through there, sir. Freddie Kissoon, what I don't understand, there are people walking through these areas here. That who's supposed to make recommendation? What projects? You know how you make the national budget of this country? You have down from the NDC level, from the RDC level, from the ministry level, which makes recommendations, what projects needs to be done. So you can put it in the budget. You mean for tell me nobody walking through the street and see that the street that's leading to the school that has to be repaired? Are they sitting in the office and you rightfully said the president, if the president goes out of his office and get a telephone call and try to call the ministry that they can't get through. It's symptomatic of how broken the system is. Good evening, caller. Hello? Hello? Somebody just lost us. Yes. So the numbers are 231-2982, or you could get us on WhatsApp 637-1071. 637-1071 or 231-2982.
Just before the other caller comes on, I would like people to call in and talk about some unacceptable behavior in other aspects of society. I know people have to talk about the state. The state has the finance to repay roads. But what happened to Minister Sonia Parag in Belgium is completely unacceptable, and I hope callers call in to discuss what
is that a story, Freddie, with when she went
to Belgium
and they refused to allow her
into a building that she was going
to talk about development,
right, to put not PPP funds but government funds. Listen, the PPP has no money. It's a private organization.
It's not a PPP thing, it's a government thing.
When you go in to install computers in a school in an area that is traditionally PNC, but the people in Belgium pay taxes.
The government has an obligation to give it to them, so you
that
have to agree with
that kind of bullyism by the PNC is never going to.
I thought it was very stupid. I couldn't understand.
It's never going to end it, and they're going to continue to lose the elections. They can't win the next election.
No, but you can't have that. You take what the government, because the government's obligation to give you the resources.
He's been filmed preventing the minister from going in.
No, that was right stupid. I understand as an MP too.
It's bestial. It's stupid. It's bestial.
No, it can't. It's wrong. Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, Gildarie, good evening.
Yes, sir. I missed you there. Go right ahead again.
Put it into that caller where you was talking about this.
The state of the street. You have to lower your volume what you're listening to and speak a little clearer into the phone.
Yes, put it into the caller concerning the school road.
Yes.
I PPA. I also have this same problem in E4 Bitcoin Region 6.
Region 6?
Yes, as in Philip. I spoke to the REO at the last rainy weather. I sent him pictures. I sent all the media houses that I could have got through with pictures, and I still have them pictures. I can send it to you on your WhatsApp there now.
Must send it to me, because I think the chairman, I think is David Armagon. I know those people are proactive in a lot of ways. I've seen them do some stuff, and I'm not sure the REO seems to be a proactive person. I'm not sure why the thing, unless, of course, they would have planned, because these things doesn't happen automatically.
Send an engineer before the day out. He sent an engineer by the name of Mark.
Oh.
I took the engineer to show him the problem. The tube needs to be expanded.
Oh.
The guy told me we're having another rainy weather coming back here again.
Wow.
My own house flooded out. I lost so much stuff and holes. I still have these pictures from the last night.
Yes. Because these are things, what happened, let me tell you what I understand, how the workings of the RDC and the NDC thing. They have to put it in the next budget, unless the president or the minister makes an emergency.
It's an emergency.
It's an emergency in its nature.
Just the bust of dam and put a bigger tube. That's all. And it's solved for over like 500 residents.
And you have an NDC in that area there?
Yeah, there's an NDC, but...
Who's the chairman for the NDC?
there's an overseer, I can't remember the
But y'all gotta call these people name, man. Don't allow them, don't protect these people here. Whoever is there is, I mean, we vote these people and I think the overseer is almost like the REO in terms of functions. So they're not appointed, I think they're appointed, right? Not voted for. But you can start calling out these people because you're not doing the job. Why are they there?
I know, but
Start calling them.
anyhow, they really need some help. This village really needs some help.
Alright, must send me the pictures or send it to Mr. Aragon.
Right away.
Thank you. Well, Freddie, I don't understand. You live in the area, you're in charge as an overseer, and the people talking to you, what are you doing?
I think one of the problems with the municipal system, even Georgetown City Council, is that those people have their own private lives to live and they have their own work to do. So they're volunteers in the NDC, and that is the problem even with city council.
What do you mean volunteer?
I don't think they're paid.
No. I happen to know Region 4 got
They're paid?
almost like an overseer, and then the NDC got an overseer. They walk
They're
through
paid? They're paid?
Of course, they being paid full salary. So you mean for tell me if they got 5 streets in the area, you don't walk through, you can't see with your eyes there's a hole in the road?
And the overseers are paid.
It boggles your mind, right? Yes, 231-2982. 231-2982, there's a call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
A couple of points. One with the phone calls that Mr. Freddie just speak about. The ministries, most of them, and I can talk with housing in particular, they have an application form online you can apply for housing. You can't get nobody on the numbers that they have there. If you apply online, nobody answer you back. You are going. When you go there, you hear that the persons who dealing with that some way, some feel, some way. It is why are you online? And on that same topic, they have many dealers in this country, private sector car dealers, advertising car online. Ask a price. You will hear what I'm tell you. You're not coming. So why are they online? They're not doing business online. They're fooling people. Two things have happened. I don't know the truth about it. The one with this guy Snow at the station and the other night of critic. I don't know who to call. There isn't a line that anybody telling me in case of gases in the air. I have a problem with those gases because there's some big trucks transporting things down the road. With two drivers doing got a mask, doing got nothing inside if one of the things start leak on the road. Where is the safety people that looking after these things? What is the hotline you got to call when there's gas in the air? How ready are we? Because it's just a bunch of talks. And most of the ministries, yes, you see they're doing about to certain places doing things, but you cannot call any of them. When you go there, you got to go back another day. And it's true, if you live in Tamari, Eureka, and all these places, you don't have money for all that. Finally, why is it we still waiting in this country for public servants on the last minute, like if it's mass again or something for private where you get in? This is November, public servants ain't no nothing yet. Everybody else was announced long before it started showing, like public servants seems to be the slaves, and now wait till matter say, look, we try their breadcrumbs. I will speak comments out here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Look, this is what I'm suggesting to the government of Guyana, and if they're listening. Leonard, they have something called Go Invest. Go Invest serves the investors, and it's a one-stop shop. So if you're going to go invest and say there is a piece of land that is state land that is overgrowing, nobody's used it for 45, 50, 60 years, I'd like to plant this on it and export, and you have to give them all the documents. For this program, this government needs to have a human rights office or a complaints office. So when these calls come in and these complaints, that office take the complaints. It's a government office. It's funded by people who are employed, and they take these calls and record it and go to the different ministries and seek solution. As I said before in the opening of this program, you and I can't do it. And a lot of those people 3 months from now are going to call me. Freddie, remember we said a man called me last month about the cleaning trenches in Legon that they haven't been paid. I am appealing to this government, have an office somewhere that can monitor these complaints.
Freddie, the government, they're not allowed. I think if there's a new government, if there's elections tomorrow morning, because these are public servants, they're in the system. They're not contract workers. You can't remove them just like that. So a minister comes in, they inherit those workers. If I tell you how many times that ministers or officials have told me that, look, we can't do nothing but it, those are PNC or those are PPP people, and the attitude, it has to do with attitude that has to do with customer service. If you go into a job and you're supposed to answer the phone or the phones are not working, if you have the website, right, and the numbers are not working and there isn't somebody monitoring the website to see that they have the wrong number, if you have a Facebook page, aren't you seeing that the number is wrong?
But I don't believe, I don't accept that thing. I've heard it when Inja Chanda Paul was a minister. Her driver complained to me that he wasn't getting his back pay. And I went up to her at Merriman Mall, and I said to her, Inja, because I knew her since in the 70s, your driver is not getting his back pay. And she said to me, by Freddie, you know how the public service is? That was long
unacceptable.
Now I have a friend that I have a lot of respect for, you know, Bulkan, Minister Bulkan. Minister Bulkan and I were talking, and he was the Minister of Community, and I spoke to him about house lot for somebody, and he said, boy, you know the public service, how it is? You've got to go in there and change things.
You have to change. You're the one that's in there. You put there. You elected there to do it. And come and call. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm talking about the same street in Bobby's area I'm living.
The same what?
Street about 100 meters long. 100 meters, about 100 rod long. They come to make the street, right? I tell them about corruption. The engineer come, he said the whole street making. 8 feet.
Who's the contractor? You know the contractor?
Yes. 8 feet broad, right through go out, and I'm going to put a tube in at the head. Running the other way. The contractor come, they make half of the street where cars can drive, and the other half, they make a footpath. They say the money is done.
Is this an NDC project, an RDC project, a ministry project? What is it?
I think it's a ministry project.
And you know who the contractor is?
Yeah, guy from Crabwood Creek.
You gotta name these people, man. What happened? You protecting him, or you know him? Are you all name the people?
No, but here now, we start to leave the overseer come before the street, make with the engineer and say, yes, you're getting a good street. We're going to make it right out.
Who's the overseer or the engineer?
Huh?
Who's the engineer or the overseer?
I don't know the engineer here now. Every time the street, every couple of days, a different engineer coming. I mean,
alright, I can make it very clear.
Every time they come and tell them, the engineer will say, they're not getting enough money to complete the street. They'll say, a bill of all the little piece. Then I know if the money got do or we never do, they got to go back and ask if they don't get more money. And when done, they make half, we can drive on the other half, they put a footpath.
When the caller finish, Gildarie,
alright. I hear what you're saying there. Thank you for coming through.
Okay.
Bye.
Gildarie, why this government cannot fund an office? Not by the normal public servants, because there's certain rules there. Fund an office with about 12 numbers and about a set of researchers with vehicles, and ask people to call in with their complaints. Like my nephew who cannot get an ID card, he has to wait the next 6 months. Things about there's
so Freddie, why you doing that if you have a ministry? The ministry doesn't charge. Okay, the ministry doesn't charge.
You have to innovate. Set up a separate office to follow these complaints.
But the ministry has to do, there's a minister, there's a PS, these people got to take action to make sure that there's a different department to handle that. Why are we doing a whole different department to do something that the ministry is doing? Oh my goodness. I think I'm getting old, folks.
What about me? I'm already old.
Freddie, when you listen to somebody imagine these people don't have a way to turn to complain. They got to call the door.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Oh my goodness.
You want a job? Why don't you take this job? Get a vacant office.
Good evening, calling on the air.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, ma'am.
I would just like to make a comment.
Could you lower the volume on whatever you're listening to so you could come across at this?
You hear me clear now?
Yes.
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah.
I just want to make a comment in connection with public servants. I'm a public servant, and I've worked among persons who, some of these people would come on the job, they would sleep, they get away, they sign in, 8 o'clock, go out, do whatever they have to do, coming back, they don't want to do the work. Yes, this has been going on for a long time.
You blame the worker, or do you blame the supervisors, or you blame the managers here?
No, but
So what you find, maybe Mr. Freddie can comment here, what you find, even to those at the top, it has been encouraged. Is there any way or any law or something in the Constitution where it says, or if it can be changed, public servants could no longer do X, Y, Z, and you don't have to wait on this body, go through this supervisor, go through this manager, then you got to go through the PA, then you got to go through the minister to fire somebody? I don't understand. If you're on a job, you're being paid, but you're lazing around, you want sleep, you want get away. Why can't you be sent home if you're on staff?
So who can send them home? If the people, you see the problem that you have there. If you have the managers and the supervisors are the one that's in charge, and they're not reporting it to whoever, they're not taking actions because of the government. You're working with the government or the public, so nobody cares.
are you still on the line, madam? Are you on the line?
Yes, I'm on.
In fairness to the public servants, I know I've lived in this country all my life, so I know what's going on. My wife, my daughter, and I have faced this intransigence among public servants. But I want to say, in fairness to the public servants, my conscience and my political ideology would not allow me to sit down here and listen to the berating of public servants, which I agree with, but without the public servants' side. I believe public servants, police, firemen, they need and have needed it a long time. They need a substantial salary increase. I agree with you. I have seen what public servants do. I've seen how police, you go for your bail, to retrieve your bail. I've seen all of that. But I think no one should push an open door. And it's pushing an open door to say those public servants do not need an increase. If they get it and the state of affairs continue, then we can continue to berate them. But I can't sit down here without uttering some defense in terms of the public servants and the need for a salary increase. I think my conscience would not allow that.
An entire overhaul of the system. Thank you very much for coming through there, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody from Bush.com called me a little earlier today, Freddie, and they raised a very fundamental point. The man said, I'm cleaning my gap, I'm cleaning my 4-foot, and my neighbor's not cleaning. And I said to him that, that's an issue that's all over the country. They're responsible citizens, and then they're the others. And then you also have the system, which is supposed to be the local government system that's supposed to be working. But hold on, this is an issue that I also talked about in the past. Freddie, we put these people in here. Could you name me 5 people that are sitting on the city council? Could you name me? Do you know 5 people that are sitting in other than the mayor and the deputy mayor? Do you know them?
No.
Why? They put them in there, right?
Because
they don't come into the community.
They're not doing their work so they could be in your focus.
It's a broken system. Last call. Good evening, caller. You're here.
Hi, good night, Gildarie and Freddie.
Good night.
One of the things I wanted to talk about really quickly was the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport under Charles Ramson. I don't know if he has ever gotten the suggestion because I've made several attempts to speak with him. I was also on the Guyanese critic talking about the particular issue of intellectual property. Is the government mindset in that direction? Because while we're trying to look like a modern state like Dubai, we can't have a Dubai without certain issues looked after, for example, intellectual property. And I know Freddie Kissoon knows a lot about this particular issue.
Thank you very much. Interesting point and very straight to that. Thank you. Thank you. Freddie, I think I've been told we're almost out of time,
Okay.
unfortunately. But
Yeah.
issue, I think that caller is saying you cannot have a country that's headed into a force war, a Dubai kind of country, and if you don't look at everything, what becomes
Especially
priority?
regulations.
What becomes priority?
And especially regulations. Anyway, sorry, time. I know with these calls, time catch up with me. So my last thing is, don't buy a smartphone for me. I need an anachronistic, obsolete, ancient thing that the world doesn't make. But I think you can find a few in the United States. You open it and you put your CD inside of it.
You think people don't know that, Freddie?
See, I have a CD here.
You think people don't know that?
I have my CD here, and this one this evening on the Seawall comes out. So that's my closing remark, and I hope Gildarie listens to Simon and Garfunkel. Let me see if I could. Gildarie, tell me how I sound.
No, I'm
Like
going
a Joe.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's a classical example of a person who's not kept up with the times, but I do appreciate the fact that he's given me a CD. I don't have a CD player. I'd have to find a way of getting the music after that so I could be able to listen to it. And for Freddie Kissoon, don't know also that YouTube offers you all this music, but I presume he wants to be very personal, and I appreciate that very much. My dear friend Freddie Kissoon. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very, I think I became a little passionate tonight, and because when you listen to the people, it's becoming more and more clear that the system is broken. People don't have a platform or platforms in which they could effectively air their concerns. Imagine a pensioner have to travel miles and miles to collect $20-something thousand, maybe in an old age pension, and you're paying about $10,000 to get there to collect that money. That doesn't make sense, and so we have to figure out a way. We have to figure out a way in which we could do things better in this country. It's an attitudinal change. So wherever you are, I want to say thank you very much for joining us tonight. We're not the best format as we want it to be, but we'll continue to improve on this program. Somebody raised the issue whether it shouldn't be where we continue talking and have our talk shows, but it doesn't make sense. Freddie and I have decided to just talk our heads off, and we don't know what the concerns are, and we know that they have many concerns. We've been receiving a lot of calls, Freddie, a lot of emails and a lot of messages. So we will continue to try to find the right format and the right balance. So unfortunately, time is over with us. Do have a pleasant weekend, a safe weekend, you and your family, and we're going to be back with you on Monday. Freddie Kissoon and myself. Stay well.